What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics. Today I got a reaction to the Beach Boys, their album Shut Down Volume 2, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Carl. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the Patron link on the end screen. We could not do it without the patrons. If you want to give a one-time donation, one-time reaction, check out our Buy Me a Coffee page down below. All right, we are journeying through a lot of the Beach Boys catalog for Carl. We started with the first album. So this is album number 5, released March 2nd, 1964. They were churning out albums, of course, on Capitol Records. Produced by Brian Wilson, it is a follow-up to the band's Little Deuce Coupe, released the previous October, which came out 3 weeks after the album before that. Like, they had albums come out 3 weeks apart, which was insane. And to Shut Down, a Capitol compilation album. That's where you get Shut Down Volume 2, was the first of 3 studio albums that the band released in 1964. And the first was recorded with founding guitarist Al Jardine since their debut single, Surfin' in 1961. And the first without guitarist David Marks, who departed from the band following disagreements with manager Murray Wilson, who, you can go search about Murray, not a good guy. Album reached 13 in the U.S. during a chart stay of 38 weeks. Music won't be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below. Click on that, follow along with us. Let's kick it off with the first track, Fun, Fun, Fun. Written by Brian and Mike Love, sung by Mike Love. Releases a single in February, backed with Why Do Fools Fall in Love. Reached 5 in the U.S., 6 in Canada and Australia. Didn't chart in the U.K. Lyrics are partly inspired by events from Dennis Wilson's life. Love stated that his lyrics were modeled after Chuck Berry's 1964 song, Nadine. Russ Tittleman recalled that he visited Brian while he was working on the song, and that its original lyric was Run, Run, Run. The lyrics describe a teenage girl who deceives her father so she can go hot rodding with his Ford Thunderbird. At the end, her father discovers her deception and takes the keys away from her. Near the end of the song's narrator suggests that the girl accompany him so that they may have fun, 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 engaging in other activities now that daddy took the T-Bird away. You can read between the lines there. According to Salt Lake City radio manager Bill Daddy-O Hesterman of KNAC, an early promoter of the Beach Boys, who brought them to Utah for appearances and concerts, the song was inspired by an incident involving Shirley Johnson, the station owner's daughter. Johnson had borrowed her father's 1963 Thunderbird, which had a University of Utah parking sticker, ostensibly to go study at the university library. Instead, she went to Shores Drive-In, a hamburger shop on the corner of 33rd South and 27th East. When the deception came to light, her driving privileges were revoked. In 2007, Johnson told KSL News that she was complaining loudly about the incident at the radio station where she worked as a part-time secretary when the Beach Boys happened to be there for an interview. Hesterman said that Brian Wilson and Love, amused by the incident, jotted down the beginnings of the song as he took them to the airport that afternoon. And also, the opening electric guitar introduction of the song was based on Barry's Johnny Be Good, and the track's punctuated drum fills were inspired by the work of Phil Spector. All right, I'm going to the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Carl. All right, Fun, Fun, Fun. Absolutely follows the story. That's why I gave you that introduction. Fantastic harmonies, great production. They all sound fantastic. Brian's production on each album, I'm sure, is just going to ramp up. You can already feel it here. Great way to start the album out. All right, by far, the most streamed song on this album. Beautiful song, beautiful production, great performance, vocally harmonizing, all of it, man. It gets its accolades for a reason. Next up, we got In the Parking Lot, written by Brian and Christian and sung by Mike Love. All right, it's fine, man. It's a kind of a standard Beach Boy song. When they pass the car, they're not looking at his car, they're looking at his girl, and he's out in the parking lot making out with his girl, and they're not going into school yet. Next up, we have an interesting Cassius Love versus Sonny Wilson. It's credited to the group in the carrying out of it as a comedy sketch. Mike and Brian wrote it, so I don't know what to expect. It's longer, a lot longer than the other songs usually are for them. Not that it's long, it's 3.5 minutes long. Okay, interesting. I mean, they're just riffing on each other, mainly Brian and Mike going against each other, right? As well as reminding you of the hits they've had in here, so that's kind of clever. This is going to take the place of instrumentals that were always on their albums, I'm guessing. But it's interesting years later because Brian and Mike obviously did go at it several times, so when you do these things, it's always dicey when you're a band and you're making tons of albums in a row, 5 in a very short amount of time, and touring and been together for a long time already at this point in close quarters. It's always a little dangerous to go on the joking side because there's so much truth to it, but interesting to put on here. Next up, we have The Warmth of the Sun, written by Brian and Mike, sung by Brian. They began composing the song on November 22nd, 1963, the day of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Although the two authors give different accounts on the timing and whether it was begun before or after the killing. According to Mike, he said, it was started in the early morning hours of the same morning that President Kennedy was killed in Dallas. The melody was so haunting, sad, melancholy that the only thing I could think of lyrically was the loss of love. when interest slips and feelings aren't reciprocated. Though I wanted to have a silver lining on that cumulus nimbus cloud, so I wrote the lyrics from the perspective of, yes, things have changed and love is no longer there, but the memory of it lingers like the warmth of the sun. I think it's really impactful and memorable. One of my favorite songs from an emotional and personal point of view. All the way up in 2016 in his autobiography, I Am Brian Wilson. Wilson recalled that the song was written the day of the assassination. In response to it, he said, when the shooting happened, everyone knew instantly. It was all over the TV and on every kind of news. I called Mike and he asked me if I wanted to write a song about it. I said, sure. It seemed like something we had to think about, and songs were the way I thought about things. We drove over to my office, and in a half hour, we had the warmth of the sun. We didn't think of it as a big song, as a personal response, but it got bigger over time because of the history linked to it. As oftentimes when songs were written back in the 60s, the two co-authors have differing opinions and memories of how it was done. See Paul McCartney and John Lennon, for example. All right, the warmth of the sun. It was fine. I guess with the buildup, I thought I was going to like it more than I do, but it was first listen of it. I mean, it's fine. We're going to finish off side A with a short one. Brian and Mike wrote it, but Dennis Wilson on vocals on This Car of Mine. All right, This Car of Mine, would have fit more on a Little Deuce Coupe. And Dennis doesn't sound super comfortable on here or particularly well. Now, we have a reaction to his solo album, Pacific Ocean Blew Up, that album's fantastic. He's just young and maybe not quite ready for this, but, it's fine. Last song on side A. Let's go to side B. You got a cover. We got Why Do Fools Fall in Love from Frankie Lyman, George Goldner are the writers, and Brian Wilson sings it. Debut single by American rock and roll band Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers that was released in January 1956. Number 1 on the R&B, 6 on Billboard Pop, and number 1 on the UK charts. Many renditions of the song by other artists have also been hit records in the U.S., including by the Diamonds, the Beach Boys, and Diana Ross. The song was used as a B-side for the Beach Boys single Fun, Fun, Fun. This version, I wouldn't call it a hit, went to 120 in the U.S. All right, let's do it. All right, that works well for a Beach Boys song. Brian is so high in the registry. I think it worked, but I think it could have worked better. But I see why they covered it. Next up, we have Pom Pom Playgirl, written by Brian and Gary Usher, sung by Carl Wilson and Mike Love. Let's get it. All right, Pom Pom Playgirl. It's fine. It has the Beach Boys sound. A little surf rock on that instrumental there. So I thought that was good. They kind of just combined some things into a very short song. Got 4 songs left. Keep an Eye on Summer. Brian and Bob Norberg wrote it. Brian and Mike Love sing it. All right, absolutely nothing to the vocals here, but who cares? Mike Love sounds great. I don't like Mike Love personally. I've never met Mike Love, just who he is. But doing the research for the Beach Boys, I get a little insight of why he felt the way he did. I'm not saying he handled things right at all. Mike Love loves him some Mike Love, but I do enjoy his vocals quite a bit, man. And then the harmonies on here are nice. So it's a good song. Next up, we have Shut Down Part 2. Carl Wilson making another appearance. This is an instrumental, so I'm guessing Carl's going to shine. All right, Shut Down Part 2. Really good guitar and drumming. Carl and Dennis doing a really good job on this. So, I liked it. It's fine for an instrumental. It's one of their better ones, I think. And now we got Louie Louie, written by Richard Berry, sung by Carl and Mike on this one. It's a rhythm and blues song written and composed by American musician Richard Berry in 1955. Recorded in 56, released in 57, but it's best known, of course, by the 1963 version by the Kingsmen. It's become a standard in pop and rock. It's based on the tune El Loco Cha-Cha, popularized by band leader Rene Touzet, and an example of Afro-Cuban influence on American popular music. It tells in simple verse chorus form the first-person story of a lovesick sailor's lament to a bartender about wanting to get back home to his girl. Berry sold his portion of the publishing and songwriting rights for Louie Louie and 4 other songs for $750 to Max Fertag, the head of Flip Records, to raise cash for his upcoming wedding. In the mid-'80s, Berry was living on welfare. Drinks company California Cooler wanted to use Louie Louie in a commercial, but discovered it needed Berry's consent because despite having sold the publishing rights, he still owned the radio and television performance rights. The company asked the Artists' Rights Society to locate him, which led to Berry taking legal action to regain the rights to his song. The settlement made Berry a millionaire. That's horrible, right? This guy was living on welfare and wrote one of the most iconic songs of the first 25 years of rock. It's the world's most recorded rock song. Now, I went down a rabbit hole with this, and I'm not going to take you on, thankfully, boys and girls, but maybe not it is. But published estimates ranging from over 1,600 to more than 2,000, with ever more still being released and performed. The Beach Boys version, their effort was unusual in that it was rendered in a version so faithful to Berry's Angelino revered original instead of the more common garage rock style, as they paid tribute to the two most important early recordings of Louie Louie, the original by Richard and the Pharaohs, and the infamously unintelligible cover by the Kingsmen. So they played it straight down the line. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, Louie Louie. Kudos to the boys for trying this. I say Louie Louie no for the Beach Boys. That didn't work in one iota of an instance for me, but maybe it did for you. They just don't have the voices for it, right? Lack the energy. It's just not their lane. There's nothing wrong with that. They're not making songs like this. They're doing their thing, right? You got to know your lane, and this is not their lane, but they might not have wanted to cover this. I don't know. You got to come up with 12 songs. It's the first of 3 albums. I've been saying this during all that. I'm like, you got to come up with a lot of material, but didn't work for me at all, but maybe it works for you. We're going to finish off with an instrumental from Dennis Wilson's writing, and we didn't put a lot of thought into the title. We don't need to, because now we know what it is. It's Denny's Drums. All right, Denny's Drums. It was fine. I mean, does it need to be a track on here? I would say no. It's fine. All right, now we're going to go to my favorite tracks. And there's 2, and they're the first 2, Fun, 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 and Don't Worry, Baby. Now get to my overall score. I got to preface this so you know it's going to be what you guys probably think is low. As 5 being average, right? I'm going to be right at a 6.0. It's fine. It's the Beach Boys. I'm glad I listened to it. I'm glad we're taking this historical journey. I think it's important. If the Beach Boys are sometimes set aside now as some sort of band that doesn't matter. It's just a fluff band, and we're going to find out soon. That's really not the case. But even on this album, Dennis brought in a ton more session musicians, right? That production's coming up. He's building the soundscapes much more. So for that, I'm going to give it a 6.0. Those first 2 songs are banging. And, there isn't anything on here that doesn't work too much besides, a cover or 2. Don't work super well. But, once again, we don't live in an album's world yet. We're soon going to, but we don't yet. And you got to churn these things out. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know what your favorites are. What do you give this thing? If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Type Beach Boys in above, and you can watch some of my other reactions and reviews. Thanks again to Carl for bringing this one. Until next time, guys, I will see you.